In this video, I'm going to walk you through what Google Tag Manager server-side tagging is and the exact steps to set it up. Server-side tagging improves data quality by reducing the impact of ad blockers and browser privacy restrictions. It can also improve your website's performance because tags don't need to be loaded in the browser when people visit your website. This is the first video in my server-side tutorial series. And before we get started, I want to give a shout out to Stape for sponsoring this series. Stape is a managed solution for Google Tag Manager server-side containers. It makes it easy to get started with server-side tracking. I've included a link to Stape in the description below this video. Okay, let's start by taking a look at what server-side tagging actually is and how it compares to client-side tagging in Google Tag Manager. To do this, let's head to Stape. We're looking at Stape's article covering the difference between client-side and server-side tracking. I've included a link to this page in the description below this video. Most people using Google Tag Manager are using a web container. This is also called client-side tagging. With client-side tagging, tags load directly in people's browsers. So when someone visits your website, their browser loads your Google Tag Manager container, and then the tags inside the container load and send data directly to platforms like Google Analytics and Google Ads. And we can see this shown in this graphic here. Server-side tagging works differently. And if we scroll down, we can see another graphic that shows this. Instead of the browser sending data to each platform, it sends one request to a server. The server then handles all of the outgoing requests to your marketing and analytics platforms. Now, you might be wondering, why does this matter? Well, there are a number of reasons. And if we scroll down a little further, we can see them listed. Benefits of using server-side tracking include improved data accuracy. This is because it can reduce the impact of ad blockers and browser privacy features. By moving to server-side tracking, you can also increase how long cookies are stored in the browser. So again, this improves data accuracy. And another benefit is you can improve website performance. This is because the browser only has to make one request instead of multiple requests. Basically, the browser has to do less work. Okay, now that we've covered the basics, let's select Products, and then Server GTM Hosting. To set up server-side tracking, we need a server to load the tags and send data to the different platforms we're using. And this is where Stape comes in. Stape provides managed hosting built specifically for server-side tracking. So instead of setting up and managing your own server, for example on Google Cloud, we can set up our server container with Stape and they handle the hosting for us. We're currently looking at Stape's product page covering their server-side hosting solution for Google Tag Manager. I've included a link to this page in the description below this video. And as we'll see in a moment, it only takes a few minutes to set everything up and Stape handles the infrastructure so you can focus on configuring your tracking. Stape also includes a range of additional features. These include a custom loader to further improve data accuracy by reducing the impact of ad blockers. We'll cover these features throughout this server-side tutorial series. In terms of pricing, Stape starts at $20 per month, or $17 per month when billed annually. This is a lot cheaper than running your own setup on Google Cloud. There's also a free plan available, which is a great way to get started and explore Stape's features. Okay, now that we've covered what Stape offers, let's head to Google Tag Manager. Before we set up our server-side container in Google Tag Manager, we need a web container. This is because the web container will act as a connection between your website and the server-side container. I've already logged into Google Tag Manager and we can see I already have an account, and in the account is a single container. If we look under the container type, we can see it says web. So this is a web or client-side container. Let's open this to take a quick look. And let's select tags. We can see there's a Google tag sending data to Google Ads. There's another Google tag sending data to Google Analytics. There are some additional Google Ads tags. There's a GA4 event tag and a couple of third-party tags. Again, this is a web or client-side container. If you don't have a Google Tag Manager web container configured yet, I recommend watching my dedicated tutorial series. I've included a link in the description below this video. Your web container will probably have different tags, but the steps we're going to cover to set up server-side tracking will be the same. One important thing I want to highlight is that all of the tags in this container are sending data directly from the browser to Google Ads, Google Analytics, and the other platforms. This is a standard client-side setup. So what we're going to do in this tutorial series is adjust our implementation so that data is sent to our tagging server first before being forwarded on to the different marketing and analytics platforms we're using. Okay, now that we've taken a brief look at the web container, it's time to create our server-side container. To do this, let's navigate to the Google Tag Manager account overview. And in the same account that has our web container, let's click the 3 vertical dots on the top right corner. And let's select Create Container. Now we need to name our container. I recommend using a short, concise name that makes it easy to identify where you're using the container. I suggest using the name of your website or business. I'm going to name my container Loves Data Server-Side. This makes it really clear that this is a server-side container and not a web container. Next, we need to select the target platform for our container. Let's select Server. And now let's click Create. Now we need to choose how we want to provision our tagging server. We can choose to automatically set up a tagging server, or we can set it up manually. Since we'll be using Stape for our tagging server, let's select Manually Provision Tagging Server. And we need to copy the container configuration. We'll need this when we configure our server in a moment. Okay, now let's head to Stape. We're still on the product page for server-side hosting. To find this, you can select Products and then Server GTM Hosting. If you're getting started with Stape, you can click Try for free. You'll then need to enter your email address and the container configuration we just copied from Google Tag Manager. You can then follow the steps to create your Stape account. Since I already have an account, I'm going to head back, and I'm going to click the account icon at the top. Now I'm going to enter my email address and click Continue. And I'm going to enter my password and click Sign In. Now let's click the button to create a new server-side container. Now we need to enter the details for our container. First, we need to name our container in Stape. I suggest using the same name you used in Google Tag Manager to keep things consistent. So I'm going to name my container Loves Data Server-Side. Next, we need to paste the container configuration we copied from Google Tag Manager. Now we need to select a server location. It's important to take a bit of extra time here because you can't change the location of your server once it's been created. I recommend selecting a server location that's located closest to where the majority of your website visitors are located. Or you might choose a server based on where your business is located. For example, if your business is in Europe, you would probably want to choose a European server location. If you're on a business plan or higher, you also have the option of selecting Global Multi-Zone, which automatically sends data to the closest location. For my container, I'm going to select US Center as the location. And let's click Create Container. Now we need to select a plan. We can see the Pro plan is selected by default. There's also a free plan, which is great if you're just getting started and want to test things out. But since we're going to be setting up a full server-side implementation, let's keep the Pro plan selected. This plan includes important features we will be covering in future videos in this tutorial series, like logs, bot detection, and Stape's cookie keeper. You can see what's included in each plan on the right. And you can even switch to annual billing to save on the regular pricing. Scrolling down, you can also choose if you want your plan to automatically upgrade when you reach the request limits. I'm going to leave this enabled. Now let's click Continue. Now we need to enter our billing information and our payment details. Stape has a special promo code we can use, so let's click Add Promo Code to enter this. I've also included this promo code, which is valid for a limited time, in the description below this video. Then we enter our billing information and our payment details. When you're ready, click Subscribe Now. We can now see the status is showing as running on the top left corner. This means our server has been successfully deployed and is ready to use. Under subdomains, we can see the default URL for our tagging server. This is what connects Google Tag Manager to Stape. While you can use the default URL to configure your container in Google Tag Manager, setting up your own custom domain is essential for a server-side implementation. This ensures we're using first-party cookies, which improves data accuracy. To set up a custom domain, let's click Add Custom Domain. Now we need to choose a subdomain for our tagging server. This subdomain needs to be on the same domain as your website. I'm going to install my server-side container on lovesdata-test.com. So I could use something like tagging.lovesdata-test.com. However, I recommend using a subdomain that doesn't indicate it's used for tracking. This is because some ad blockers will block requests to subdomains that contain words like tagging or tracking. So instead of entering tagging, I'm going to copy the Stape container identifier. And I'm going to paste this as my subdomain, followed by .lovesdata-test.com. For now, I'm going to leave Add CDN deselected. And to connect my subdomain, I'm going to select Manual. You can select the automatic option, and this will ask you to log in with the details for your DNS provider to add the record for you. However, I'm going to add the record myself in Cloudflare, so let's click Next. We're now given the CNAME record we need to add. Let's copy the host. And let's copy the value. Now we need to add this record to our domain's DNS settings. The steps to do this will depend on the platform you're using to manage your domain. I'm going to show you how to do this in Cloudflare, but if you're using a different DNS provider, you'll need to follow their documentation to add a CNAME record. Okay, let's head to Cloudflare. I've already logged in and I'm looking at the DNS records for my domain. So let's click Add Record. Let's select CNAME as the type. For the name, let's enter our subdomain. And for the target, let's paste the value from Stape. Let's disable the proxy, and let's click Save. Now let's head back to Stape. And let's click Verify. We can see the status of our subdomain is now verifying. It can take time for DNS changes to be picked up, so you might need to wait for your subdomain to be verified. This can take anywhere from a few minutes to a few hours, so we will need to wait and then refresh the page. Okay, I've now waited a couple of minutes and we can see our subdomain is ready. Now we can copy our custom subdomain. And let's head to Google Tag Manager. We're still in our server-side container, so it's time to add our tagging server URL. To do this, let's navigate to Admin. And let's select Container Settings. Now let's click Add URL under Server Container URLs. And let's paste our custom subdomain that we just copied from Stape. And let's click Save. Our server container is now connected to Stape. To test this, let's navigate back to the workspace. And let's click Preview. A new tab opens for Tag Manager Debug Mode. And while we haven't configured any tags in our server-side container yet, we can see our tagging server is working correctly because the URL includes the custom subdomain we configured in Stape. We've now walked through the steps to create a server-side container in Google Tag Manager, set up Stape, configured a custom subdomain, and connected everything so data can flow through our own domain. To get started with Stape, I've included a link in the description below. You'll also find a promo code that's available for a limited time. When you use the code to start a new paid plan, you'll get a special discount. In the next video, we're going to configure the server-side container to send data to Google Analytics and Google Ads. That's where your setup really comes together. So make sure you've subscribed to this channel. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.